Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rise. We're back here in one of my filming spot locations because guess what? We have that one sports car that is gonna be going away. It's this vehicle right here. What is this? This is a Porsche Cayman 718 GT4. But before we get into this mid-engine, 6-speed manual equipped sports car, let's talk about what's going on here. Many a time throughout history, when it comes to Porsche, if you wanted the utmost in performance, it was all about dialing 911, the mighty 911. Well, guess what? Over the years, the 911 has not only grown in popularity, but it's also grown in size, kind of breaking away from that original format. Now, the shape is the same, easily identifiable, but definitely got a little bit larger. Of course, even more horsepower now than ever before. Now, what's fascinating is that back in the 1990s, there was a vehicle that came out by Porsche known as the Boxster. That was a convertible, and it was one of the vehicles that really helped restructure the brand and save the brand, because once we saw the Boxster, eventually we would get Porsche's first SUV, the Cayman, the smaller Macan, and the hardtop version of the Boxster known as the Cayman. Now, many people, even the Porsche aficionados, would tell you that Porsche holds back a little bit on the 718 Cayman because they don't want it to outperform the mighty 911. But what's fascinating, in 2016, they did something that nobody thought they would ever do. They came out with the first GT4 version of this mid-engine car. Now, it was only available in a manual transmission, and it was only available for 1 year. After 2016, no more GT4 until 2020. With the refresh of the Cayman came an all-new updated refresh GT4, more horsepower, more performance, and a lot of goodies taken from the 911 GT3. But what I want to find out is it now or never? Are you going to regret not buying one of these mid-engine Porsches because they're going bye-bye? They're going towards electrification. 2024 is the final year of the Cayman as we know it. 2023 is the last year of the GT4. And then we will see an electric-based performance sports car. So what I want to find out is, like I said, is it now or never? Let's dive into our chalk. I love this color. Chalk 718 GT4 and find out. Right off the bat, the style. In 2020, when they came out with this style, they did a refresh, and it all starts, of course, at the front of the business. You're still gonna get that same unique headlight shape to the Cayman. Not oval, not round, but definitely identifiable as a Porsche. LED headlight, turn signal, and daytime running lamp. Now, your turn signal is actually right above this massive corner air intake, and I love the way they have a nice wire mesh finish. You can see the huge heat exchangers lurking behind there, and there's also functional aero on the corner. Now, one of the things that separates the 2016 from anything 2020 and newer is not only going to be the new look, but also more downforce. There's 50% more downforce, and check this out, no additional drag over a 2016 GT4. Porsche really works some magic taken from all of their Le Mans victories. No other brand has won the 24 Hours of Le Mans more than the brand from Stuttgart, that would be Porsche. Now, as we come across the front, you have that familiar nose. It's almost like from the front of the vehicle, it looks like an older Porsche 911 with the way they were smaller in size. I like that nice smooth curve. Drops down, massive opening in the center with that wire mesh. They extended the splitter and of course stamped the GT4 name. Now, one of the zonks I have to give the front of this vehicle because of this massive splitter that Lori and I actually ate our lunch off of. Lori made some amazing PB&Js. We had them right across there, is that there's no optional front axle lift. So that is a zonk on the GT4. Now, if you get a GT4 RS, which they will make in 2024, you can option that, but that's a totally different vehicle compared to the GT4 model going that RS. But I do like the way they extended that down, stopped the air from going underneath, and give us some massive downforce. Now, when we get up onto the nose, you'll notice more wire mesh. It's all about that aeroflow. Air coming in, air exiting out. We have that nice waterfall design front hood, and then of course that iconic badge from Stuttgart, Germany, the mighty Porsche. And it really looks great, that Porsche crest, so much history, especially on track and off track. Now, underneath all the sheet metal, this sexy sheet metal, you actually get the front suspension plucked from the 911 GT3. And most of the rear suspension is also from the 911 GT3. So you're getting some of those goodies from the 911 that makes the GT3 perform so well is on this vehicle. Now, as we come around the bend, what are we working with? Wheel and tire setup. You're gonna get the satin black. This is an optional color, satin black, beautiful 20-inch wheel. Love the Y-spoke design. Now, what's interesting is that on the 718, you still get your standard wheel lugs. You don't have the center locking wheel lug like you have on a GT3. There's good things about that and there's bad things. First of all, you could change your tires and wheels a lot easier anywhere. They don't have to have that center locking system. And it's also a cheaper wheel to replace. So something to think about. There's different optional colors you could get, but of course this is the satin black. You'll also notice the PCCBs. What the heck is that? That's the carbon ceramic brake rotors. Always come in yellow. For the first time, you can now get them in black. But the yellow calipers automatically tell you from the factory that those are the carbon ceramic rotors, 16.1 inches in diameter. That's bigger than a freaking flying saucer that landed in Area 51. That's how massive those things are. Now, underneath the sheet metal, besides the GT3 suspension, and let me just preface before the Porsche aficionado zonk me, it's the GT3 suspension from the 991.1 and .2s. The new 992 GT3 has that double wishbone suspension, which this does not have. So just something I want to preface, it's the GT3 suspension from the previous generation. But you do have PASM. What the heck is PASM? That's the acronym for the Porsche Active Suspension Management System. So it actually sits lower than your standard Cayman, and then you have adaptive dampers all four corners that are going to adjust on the fly while you're going down your favorite twisty road. You can see that corner aero, how it comes from the front and then exit outs on the side. Really, really looking good. And then of course, coming down the side, super clean. Chalk everywhere, just poured all over this paint job. Love the way you have that nice roof line. And it really, I'm telling you, it blends the style of the 911 in with the Cayman. I've always thought that. Now on the GT4, you are gonna get those rocker panels, those side sills that are extended down. You're also getting an enlarged air intake because remember, mid-engine, engine is in the middle of the axles. So the air is gonna come in not only for cooling, but also for force feeding air into that engine compartment. Now, when we get to the tail end of the business on the tires, we actually started out with narrow tires up front. Now we have wider tires out back. This is 295, 30 series sidewall, and those are 20-inch wheels. So we have 20-inch wheels all the way around. If you look at a new 992 GT3, you have 21-inch wheels on the back, 20-inch wheels on the front, but of course you still have those massive carbon ceramic brake rotors, electronic limited slip diff, and you do have that 6-speed manual transmission, which you cannot get on a GT4 RS. Now swinging it around back, I love that flared fender look on the GT4. This is your wing that you are gonna have up top the back. It is manually adjustable from the exterior, so you could actually adjust how much downforce you want or how little. And I love the additional kick up here. Nice kick up, give it that great style. The Porsche name, which you could also get in gloss black. This one is your standard silver. GT4 badge, of course. They don't put Cayman anywhere on the exterior. And then going all the way down, here's where the magic happens. It's not so much about the wing up top, it's what's underneath. The rear diffuser is so much larger and so much more intense from a race car. This is where we're getting a lot of downforce without the drag. And then you'll notice we have that slash cut oval opening, gloss black tips on each side for that flat six. But since we're talking about it, let's see what one of the zonks are about the engine in this vehicle. Let's see if we could find it on our GT4. All right, guys, I got the rear hatch open. This is one of the major zonks for me with the GT4 is you can't see the engine. So underneath the rear hatch, you have lots of storage, and that's a good thing because they want to allow this to be usable. You'll notice that bar across the back, that's the strut top bar to stiffen up the rear of the vehicle. But it's the only mid-engine car, if you think about it, where the engine is in the car inside the cabin with you. Now, if you get a GT4 RS, not only are you lucky, but you'll be able to see the top airbox and everything of that flat six. But what is underneath all that carpet and aluminum and everything else? You're looking at a 4-liter flat six. But here's the kicker. It's not the flat six from the GT3. It's actually a flat six from a 992 911, which they take off the turbos, and we're not talking about the turbocharged 911, we're talking about the standard turbos on a standard 911 Carrera. Take the turbos off, bump it up in displacement, and that's where you get your 4-liter flat six, 414 horsepower. That's more horsepower than the 2016 version, 309 pound-feet of torque. Made it to a 6-speed manual. Now, in 2021, you could also get the 7-speed PDK, and the reason why they use the 7-speed over the 8-speed is that it's lighter. 0 to 60 with the manual in 3.7 seconds, quarter mile at 11.8 at 120 miles per hour, top speed almost 190 miles an hour, and here's the best part. The car only weighs 3,149 pounds. And if you're wondering, Joe, how much space is there actually back here? You're looking at over 15 cubic feet of space, which is quite substantial for a mid-engine sports car. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire this thing up and hear what it sounds like. Alright guys, we're inside this Porsche Cayman 718 GT4. Say that 20 times fast. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I definitely want to try to track one of these down. How much is it? Because I like the purity of what this car brings. Well, first of all, if you're gonna get a new one, you're gonna have to get an allocation or buy one new off the sales floor. Now, the good news is if you do get an allocation, Porsche has a great program where you could build your own and then follow it through the whole process, and they'll send you pictures from Zuffenhausen and go all the way to the port and to your dealership. The way that Porsches, just like many other brands, work is that there's a lot of ways to option it. So starting price is around $120,000. Most Porsche owners will put about $20,000 to $30,000 in options. So this one is right around $148,000. Let's see what you get for the money. To the door panel, you'll notice the optional leather with the yellow contrast stitching to match our brake calipers out on the 4 corners of the car, some silver aluminum trim, and I like how on the GT4 you have the yellow tether to open up the door, but you have what Porsche calls race-tex material all the way throughout the middle section, the Bose sound system, and a door pocket that's big enough for at least 8 track Twinkies. But you're not eating in my Porsche, I'll tell you that much. Now, going from the door panel to the dash, the leather, the stitching, I know you could go get a C8 Corvette, but you know what? There's just certain level of attention to detail, fit, and finish. Watch this, this is kind of cool. Open that up, you actually have your 2 cup holders built in, but once again, you're not eating in my Porsche, you're not drinking in my Porsche, but it is cool how they have that set up and it hides very smoothly the race-tex. We do have the chrono package, which is gonna give us our chronograph clock up top, which also is a stopwatch. Your AC vents, this is all older style. Even if you buy a new GT4 RS, you still get the same infotainment system. It is small, but you know what? The graphics are clear, and I like the way it's all blended in very nicely, and you do even have a CD player. So you could get Baby Got Back from Sir Mix-a-Lot, and you could listen to that while you're rolling through the 6-speed. You got real knobs and buttons for your radio controls, real switches for your AC, make it colder, make it warmer, all that different switch gear. And then this is where the magic happens. That slick shifting 6-speed manual transmission. It's the same gearbox from the GT3. And remember that when you buy a standard 911 Carrera, if you get manual, it's a 7-speed manual. It's not this gearbox. This is a race gearbox. There's no rubber bushings. It's all very directly connected from the car to you. You have your button here to open up the sport exhaust, shut off that pesky auto start stop, suspension, the auto blip, all of that. You got a little area here for some Tic Tacs. And then guess what? More room. This is where you're gonna put your Victory Twinkies. 4 Victory Twinkies, and there's a 12 volt. And then this one has the optional badass carbon fiber buckets. The yellow GT4 embroidery, the stitching, the carbon fiber, the leather. These, once you get in, they hold you in nicely, but they're also, believe it or not, comfortable once you get in. And we have the optional fire extinguisher. That's a nice little extra touch. And race-tex throughout the whole headliner and the A-pillars. And then we have that flat 6 right behind us. It's right behind us in the car with us. But why don't you come over to the business end? I want to show you the steering wheel that has not one single button on it. Come on over, let me show you. Guys, business time behind the wheel. This is where you want to be sitting. I like the aluminum GT4 on the sill plate. Pedal box right out of a Le Mans race car. Nice large dead pedal, clutch, brake, and throttle. Perfect for a heel, toe, downshifting all day long. And then of course the seats. They're highly bolstered, but they're not too bad on comfort. You have an electric control to adjust the height a little bit, and then you have manual control to slide the seat back and forward, but they really do hold you in place. And look at this. Look at this steering wheel. Race-tex all the way around with the yellow stitching. You got that Porsche crest, all that history with Stuttgart stamp there. No buttons, no switch gear. You still get the older dash, but that's not a bad thing. That analog tach goes up to 8,000 RPM. You do have a digital display, and then that analog speedometer, which is a little redundant because we have a digital speedometer as well. And then really the nice extra touch is that on the Caymans, you still have a key fob that you actually use to start the vehicle up, and it's in the same place just like all the other historic Porsches, because at Le Mans, they used to start where you would be outside the vehicle and have to run, jump in, and this allows you to go first gear, fire it up, and you're off. But why don't we go ahead, let me show you the last bit of surprise with this GT4, because I'm ready to take you on throttle. Let's get to it. All right, guys, one of the things before we go on throttle, I gotta show you, because it just shows how much more usable, believe it or not, the Cayman is over a lot of other sports cars and even supercars. You pop the hood, underneath the hood, you have a cargo area so large you could fit 2 full-size carry-ons. And what we have down in here right now is the additional aero pieces from the factory. Look at that, it's all in German. I have no idea what it says. I think this says checklist. But other than that, I have no idea what it says because I don't know German, but these are extra goodies that you put underneath to direct more airflow. Not for the street, for the track. But it's nice to have that usable space and really just a clean environment underneath the hood. But why don't we go ahead, it's that time. I promise you this mid-engine car is not about the storage, it's about that on-throttle experience. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go on throttle in this GT4. All right, guys, we are inside this 718 GT4, here in that freaking flat 6, right behind us, in the cabin with us. That freaking automatic rev match downshifting is so nice. But the sound of that flat 6 is just mind-boggling. It really, really is. Love the way everything is just wrapped around so perfectly. And until you drive a Porsche 718, or really any Cayman, or a 911, you don't quite get it, but once you drive one, you get it. And it's just so well laid out in here. But if you're ready, I'm ready. Second gear, on throttle, here we go. Woo-hoo-hoo. Yeah. The sound of that engine. Nice and balanced. Great steering feedback. Yeah! The way that it just builds torque so smoothly. Not a lot down in the lower revs, obviously, but as you climb through the revs, it really starts building that torque, and it goes all the way to 8,000 RPM. Of course, getting to everything is well within reach. These seats, they may look intimidating when you first get into them, but they actually are very, very comfortable. Everything that everybody says about these carbon bucket race seats basically are accurate. It takes a second to get in, but once you're in like Flynn, and it feels phenomenal. But I really feel like there's a string attached from the throttle pedal to the throttle bodies on this thing because it feels so smooth. It's like the days of having an actual throttle cable. When you step on that throttle pedal, you had that physical connection. Even though we don't have that physical connection, it still feels like there's one there. But visibility is absolutely tip-top perfect. Yes, out the back, when you look in the rearview mirror, you are gonna see the wing. Does it really impede your vision? Not really. And if it did, it's the compromise you make. I mean, who doesn't think that if you have a rear wing that goes across the middle of the rear glass, that it's gonna obviously impede your vision? But the gearbox is like a bucket of honey. It's that sweet. I feel like Winnie the Pooh Bear taking my hand and just digging out more and more of that honey. But if you're ready, I'm ready. We're at 3,500 RPM, on throttle, all the way out, 6,000, 7,000, shift. Breathe the throttle a little bit, back on throttle. Look at this. Those carbon ceramic brakes doing their job. Woo-hoo. So balanced. Having that mid-engine. That left-right transition, power out. It's one of those things that you got, if you have it in the right gear, it comes out of the corner with such ferocity. And then of course, the brake pedal is so just able to be modulated very, very well. The feedback you get is absolutely perfect. The challenge is with the gearbox. The gear ratios are way too long, and really you're just second and third gearing what I just did, which it could be a little bit better where you're actually getting up to fourth and you're not breaking a land speed record by the time you get to fourth. The fit and finish in here is second to none, and if you're ready, I'm ready. Here we go. On throttle, 7,000 RPM. Just freaking pulls like a freight train. Unbelievable. Turn in is so quick, so crisp. It feels really, really fantastic. And then of course you got the brakes. Those carbon ceramic brakes really bite very well, very evenly. And it's interesting to think, because when we think Porsche, we think 911 being a rear engine, engines past the rear axles. This is that perfect balance. And it's interesting to think, has Porsche really tried to keep the Cayman more tamed by having less horsepower? Now, I know with the GT4 RS, it does have the same engine as a GT3, whereas this does not, but it's still a little down on power and stuff. So very fascinating how that all works out, politics. All right, we gotta do the twisty bits again, guys. You just have to. This is the car to do it in. On throttle, here we go. Nice, look at the feedback, the grip, the balance. This is a pleasure. If you know what you're doing behind the wheel of a car, this 718 Cayman GT4 is just a damn pleasure. It's one of those cars that just speaks to you and you're able to just dance. It's the perfect dance partner. Unbelievable. Wow. But I'm hoping that this has been a good overall review of what this 718 GT4 is bringing. We're gonna get back to where it all started and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second. Oh my God. These are the days that I live for, being able to hear that flat six roar and scream all the way up to 8,000 RPM and that slick shifting, hot knife through butter, 6-speed manual. Definitely gotta thank Porsche. And when I say Porsche, I'm talking about Porsche, right over in Zuffenhausen in Germany and Stuttgart, for building the Cayman. Not only the standard Cayman, because that's a great car as it is, but of course bringing the GT badge to the Cayman with the GT4. Let me know what you think. Are you thinking that you want to track one of these down before they're gone forever, at least new ones? You could always buy a pre-owned one, but I'm talking about having it fresh from the factory. Or are you gonna maybe hold your breath and wait and see what this electrified Cayman is all about? Let me know down in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raiti's Rides family. Of course, we gotta give it to LG Raiti. Lori working that camera like a champ. She not only works a camera like a champ, she could roll through that 6-speed manual transmission just like the best of them, because she is the best. Show her some love in that comment section. Thank you, Lori, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.